At a birthday dinner, my brother-in-law snatched my plate and sneered, "You shouldn't eat this. You're not really part of the family." The table laughed as I pushed back my chair. Good thing I brought my own feast. I pulled out a folder and dropped it on the table. When he opened it, his jaw dropped. I married into a big, loud, Irish-American family. At first, I thought they liked me. I was polite, I made an effort, I laughed at their jokes, even the ones that weren't funny. But slowly, things started to change. I'm not Irish. I don't look like them. I don't have their last name. And to some of them, that meant I didn't really belong. It started small. Jokes about my culture. Side comments about real Americans. If I made food for a family gathering, someone would poke at it and ask, "What even is that?" If I joined a conversation, they'd shift the topic to something I wouldn't understand. Old childhood memories, inside jokes, things I couldn't possibly be part of. Most of them weren't outright cruel, just casually dismissive. But my brother-in-law Patrick? He had it out for me. Patrick was the kind of guy who thought he was smarter than everyone else. He had a construction business and bragged about how he knew how to work the system. He always had some kind of scam going, always looking for a loophole, always making money in ways that didn't seem entirely legal. He also had a habit of making little comments about how I wasn't really family. Sometimes subtle, sometimes not. He'd tell me to my face, "You're lucky we let you in." Sarah, my wife, would tell me to ignore him. "That's just how he is," she'd say. "He doesn't mean it." But I knew better. Sarah's dad was turning 65, and the family planned a huge dinner at an expensive steakhouse in Boston. I knew it would be a long night, but I was prepared to get through it. Eat my steak, make small talk, go home. Simple. Dinner started off fine. I sat next to Sarah, listening to everyone talk over each other. The waiter came, we ordered, I kept my mouth shut. The food arrived, steaming hot, smelling amazing. And then, right as I picked up my fork, Patrick reached over and grabbed my plate. I froze. Everyone kept talking, laughing, drinking, like nothing had happened. Patrick smirked, holding my plate just out of reach. "You shouldn't eat this," he said. "You're not really part of the family." And the table laughed. Not a nervous laugh. Not an awkward chuckle. A real, genuine laugh. Even Sarah. That was the moment something in me shifted. I looked around. No one was going to stand up for me. No one was going to say it was wrong. Not my wife. Not her parents. Not her siblings. I took a deep breath. My heart was pounding, but my hands were steady. I pushed back my chair and smiled. Good thing I brought my own feast. Then, I reached into my bag and pulled out a thick manila folder. I dropped it in front of Patrick. The room went silent. Patrick laughed again, but it sounded forced. "What's this, your will?" I smiled wider. "Open it." He rolled his eyes, but he did. The second he saw the first page, his face changed. His eyes darted back and forth, skimming the words, flipping the pages faster and faster. His smirk disappeared. The blood drained from his face. "What the hell is this?" he muttered. Sarah leaned over to look. So did his wife. His parents. His brothers. Everyone. Patrick's hands started to shake. "Where did you get this?" I leaned forward, resting my elbows on the table. "I have friends." Truth was, I had a private investigator. And I had spent the last 6 months digging into Patrick's past. Because Patrick wasn't just an asshole. He was a criminal. Patrick's construction company had government contracts. Minority-owned business contracts. Patrick was not a minority. But his company was registered under a fake Native American identity, a loophole that let him qualify for jobs meant for actual minority-owned businesses. I had the proof. Fake tribal documents. Emails where he openly admitted to lying. Bank records showing millions in fraud. And then, the final page. A signed, sealed official complaint. Filed with the Massachusetts Attorney General's office. Patrick let out a strangled noise. His hands gripped the table so hard his knuckles went white. His wife snatched the papers and started reading. Her hands shook. His mother gasped. His father's face turned red. No one was laughing anymore. Patrick stood up so fast his chair nearly toppled. You think you can do this to me?" His voice was shaking now. "You think you can come into my family and pull this shit? This?" I said, tapping the folder. "This is your doing." "I just found it." He lunged forward like he was going to grab it back, but his wife shoved him away. "You lied to me?" she hissed. "You told me this was legal." He ignored her, turning back to me. "I swear to God, sit down, Patrick," I said, voice calm. "Enjoy your meal. You paid for it with stolen money after all." Sarah finally snapped out of it. Wait, can we just talk about this?" "This is family," I turned to her. "Oh, now it's family?" She flinched. Patrick turned to his dad, his last hope. Dad, you know how these things work. His father stood up, threw his napkin on the table, and walked out. Patrick's mother followed. His wife was crying now, holding the papers like they were a death sentence. And then, the cherry on top. The restaurant manager walked over, clearing his throat. Sir, he said, nodding toward Patrick. Your card was declined. I sat back in my chair, picked up my drink, and took a slow sip. Patrick stood there, frozen, looking at everyone staring at him. His world was falling apart in real time. And this? This was just the beginning. Patrick's face was pure rage. His mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. His credit card sat useless on the table. His family was either glaring at him or too stunned to speak. But I wasn't done yet. The waiter cleared his throat again, looking uncomfortable. Sir, do you have another form of payment? Patrick's wife, soon-to-be ex-wife, probably, wiped her eyes and turned to him. Jesus, Patrick, can you just pay the damn bill? Patrick patted his pockets like a man trying to find an escape route. Then he reached for his phone. I spoke before he could even unlock it. I wouldn't bother checking your accounts. His head snapped up. What the hell does that mean? I leaned back, crossing my arms. Let's just say, you should have hired a better accountant. Remember how I said I had been digging into Patrick's life for 6 months? Well, I wasn't just looking into his fraud. I was looking into his money. Patrick had several accounts under different names, probably to keep his wife from noticing how much cash he skimmed off his own business. But here's the thing about hiding money in sketchy places. If you don't do it right, it's incredibly easy to mess with. Let's just say, with a few anonymous tips, the IRS had frozen his assets. Sarah turned to me, eyes wide. You did what? I shrugged. He was committing tax fraud. I just pointed the right people in the right direction. Patrick's hands were shaking now. He unlocked his phone anyway, pulling up his banking app. The second he saw his balance, his face went gray. Holy shit, someone muttered. Patrick turned to his father. Dad, you have to. His father cut him off with a raised hand. Don't. His voice was cold. Final. Patrick's mother wiped her hands on her napkin like she had touched something dirty. You used fake documents to steal from people who actually needed those contracts? Patrick scoffed. Oh, come on. You think I'm the only one who does it? The system is rigged. I was just playing the game. His father shook his head. No, Patrick. You were cheating. And now you got caught. Patrick's wife looked down at the papers in front of her, eyes scanning page after page. You told me you built this company from the ground up. Her voice cracked. You told me you worked for everything we had. Patrick swallowed hard. I did. She shoved the folder into his chest. You lied to me. To all of us. Patrick's younger brother, who had been silent this whole time, scoffed. Jesus, man. You always acted like you were better than everyone. Turns out you're just a damn thief. Patrick opened his mouth, closed it. No one was defending him. Not one person. And then came the final twist I hadn't planned for. Patrick's wife wiped her eyes, took a deep breath, and then turned to me. How long have you known? I blinked. About the fraud? 6 months. No, she said, her voice calm now. About her. The table went completely silent. Patrick's head jerked toward her. What? She pulled out her own folder from her purse. Thick, just like mine. She threw it on the table. Patrick didn't touch it. His wife let out a shaky laugh. Oh, you thought I wouldn't find out? You thought you were the only one who could play this game. She turned to me, nodding. Thanks for setting this up. It made things easier for me. I had no idea what she was talking about. Until I looked down at the folder. On top was a printed screenshot. A message exchange. Patrick's name. A woman's name. And a picture. A very, very compromising picture. Patrick's face drained of all color. Holy shit, his younger brother muttered. His mother gasped, covering her mouth. Patrick's wife let out a breath. Yeah, thought so. She picked up her wine glass and took a sip, her hands steady now. She's 23, by the way. She turned to Patrick's father. One of his interns. His father slammed his fist on the table. You disgusting little shit. Patrick opened his mouth. His wife stood. We're done. She looked at me. Oh, and just so you know, my lawyer's going to love all this. Then she turned and walked out. For the first time that night, Patrick was completely speechless. And that was the moment I realized something. I had come here to expose one of Patrick's biggest lies. But it turned out he had even more skeletons than I knew. And now? Now, they were all tumbling out, one after the other. And Patrick? He had nowhere left to run. Patrick sat frozen, his world crumbling around him. His wife had just walked out, leaving behind a bombshell that even I hadn't seen coming. The family sat in stunned silence, the weight of the moment pressing down on the table. And then, Patrick did what all cowards do when they have nowhere left to turn. He looked at me. This is your fault. His voice was low, but there was a sharp edge to it, like a knife that had just been unsheathed. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, really? He shot up from his seat, hands clenched into fists. You set me up. You turned everyone against me. You think you're so damn smart, don't you? I didn't move. I didn't blink. I didn't turn anyone against you, Patrick. I leaned forward, keeping my voice calm. You did that all by yourself. Patrick's jaw tightened. His hands twitched at his sides like he was considering doing something stupid. And then, his mother spoke. Sit down. Patrick flinched. He turned to her, eyes pleading. Mom, her lips were pressed into a thin line. You lied to us. You embarrassed this family. And now you want to blame someone else? Sit down. For a second, I thought he was going to ignore her. But then, he dropped back into his chair like a scolded child. Patrick sat there, breathing heavily, his hands still shaking. But something about his reaction didn't sit right with me. Something wasn't adding up. The fraud? That made sense. The cheating? Not surprising. But the way he reacted to his credit cards being declined? That wasn't just panic. That was pure terror. And then it hit me. Patrick, I said slowly. How much do you owe? His head snapped toward me. What? I tilted my head. Your accounts are frozen, but you acted like you expected there to be money. You didn't know about the freeze. I paused. So what were you planning to pay with? He didn't answer. But I wasn't asking for his sake. I was asking for his family's. Patrick's younger brother, the quiet one, sat up a little straighter. Wait, what do you mean, oh? Patrick's mouth pressed into a thin line. I let the silence hang for a moment. Then, I pulled one more document from my bag. I hadn't planned on using it. But now? Now it was necessary. I slid it across the table. Patrick's father grabbed it first. He started reading. Then, his hands clenched around the paper. Jesus Christ. His mother reached over, yanking it from his grip. Her eyes darted across the page, and then she gasped. Patrick's younger brother leaned in. What? What is it? His mother lifted her head, her face pale. He took out loans. Big ones. The table tensed. Patrick's father rubbed a hand over his face. How much? His mother's hands trembled. She struggled to get the words out. Almost 3 million. A stunned silence fell over the table. Then Patrick's father slammed his fist onto the table so hard the silverware rattled. Where the hell is the money, Patrick? Patrick's face had gone fully pale now. He looked like a man on the verge of breaking. I already knew the answer. And I had a feeling his family did too. I watched Patrick closely, waiting. And then he did something very stupid. He glanced at the door. It was quick. Barely a flicker of movement. But I caught it. And I wasn't the only one. Patrick's younger brother turned, following his gaze. Then his eyes narrowed. Who's outside, Patrick? Patrick's head snapped back. No one. Too fast. Too defensive. His younger brother shoved back his chair and stood. I'm gonna check. Don't. Patrick's voice cracked. Too late. His younger brother was already moving. I stood too, following close behind. The second we reached the entrance of the restaurant, I felt it, that shift in the air, that crawling sensation of being watched. And then, I saw the car. A sleek, black SUV. Parked illegally. Engine running. And inside? A man. Wearing sunglasses. At night. I exhaled slowly. Jesus, Patrick. Who the hell did you borrow money from? Patrick's brother turned to him, eyes blazing. You took out loans from the kind of people who send guys in SUVs to, remind, you to pay? Patrick didn't answer. Because he didn't have to. His silence said everything. I glanced at the restaurant door, debating my next move. Because suddenly, this wasn't just about revenge anymore. This was about getting the hell out alive. The black SUV sat outside the restaurant like a predator waiting to pounce. The man inside, sunglasses, stiff posture, cold stare, didn't move. Didn't blink. Just watched. Patrick's younger brother turned back to him, fists clenched. Who is that? Patrick's lips parted, but no sound came out. I stepped closer. Patrick, you need to start talking. Now. His jaw tensed, his eyes darting from me to the door, to the table full of people still inside. I could see the calculations running through his head. Lie? Downplay it? Tell the truth? He chose wrong. They're just some guys I know, he muttered, voice barely above a whisper. His father appeared in the doorway. Some guys. He grabbed Patrick by the collar, his voice low and dangerous. Those aren't some guys, you idiot. That's a debt collector. Silence. Then, Patrick's mother gasped. She wasn't looking at the SUV anymore. She was looking at me. You knew, she whispered, her face twisted in horror. You knew about all of this. I swallowed. Not all of it, but enough. Enough to know Patrick wasn't deep. Enough to know this wasn't just business fraud anymore. The truth comes crashing down. Patrick's wife, well, ex-wife at this point, walked back in at just the right moment, her arms crossed, mascara smeared, face dead calm. "You didn't just cheat on me," she said coldly. "You gambled our future away." Patrick's whole body locked up. "No, yes, you did," she shouted, and the entire restaurant turned to watch. The manager, the waiters, random customers, they all froze, eyes flicking between us like a live courtroom drama. Patrick let out a breath. "It wasn't gambling, don't lie." She grabbed my folder from the table and slammed it down. "I just got off the phone with my lawyer. You took out a personal loan under my name. You forged my signature." Another gasp from his mother. His father looked ready to kill him. Patrick's mouth moved uselessly, like his brain was shutting down. That's not." He looked around, as if waiting for anyone to save him. But there was no one left. Not his wife. Not his parents. Not even Sarah. Especially not me. "Patrick," I said, keeping my voice measured. "How much of that $3 million is gone?" He didn't answer. But his silence was enough. His father grabbed his chair and threw it across the restaurant. It crashed into a table, knocking over glasses and silverware. "You ruined us," he spat. "You goddamn disgrace." Patrick's mother was crying now, covering her mouth with both hands. Sarah, my wife, stood next to me, still shell-shocked. She turned, her voice small. How did you even get the money?" I sighed. "I'd bet anything that Patrick used his company as collateral." More silence. Patrick's wife scoffed. "So what happens when you can't pay them back?" I didn't have to explain. Because we all knew. These weren't the kind of people who just let things go. Patrick's father took a slow, deep breath. "You need to go outside," he said, his voice eerily calm. "Talk to them. Figure it out." Patrick shook his head violently. No, I can't. You should have thought about that before you stole money from criminals," I said bluntly. Patrick whirled on me. "You smug little," and then he lunged. The last straw, I saw it coming. I stepped back just as Patrick swung at me. He barely grazed my chin before two waiters grabbed him from behind. The restaurant erupted into chaos. Someone screamed. The manager yelled for security. Dishes clattered to the floor. Patrick struggled against the men holding him, his eyes wild, desperate. "This is your fault," he shrieked. "You ruined my life." I wiped my chin and stared at him. "Patrick, you ruined your own life." That's when the restaurant doors swung open. The man from the SUV walked in. Sunglasses off. Cold eyes. No expression. The room went deathly still. Patrick's entire body locked up. The man didn't raise his voice. He didn't make a scene. He just pulled out a small envelope and set it on the table. "A final notice. Time's up," he said simply. Then, he turned and walked back outside. Patrick made a strangled noise. His father spoke without looking at him. "Go fix this." Patrick took a slow, shaky breath. Then, without another word, he walked out. Through the glass doors, we watched him climb into the SUV. And then, they drove away. No one spoke for a long time. Then, Patrick's father sat back down and picked up his glass of whiskey. "Well," he muttered. "That was a hell of a birthday dinner." His wife burst into tears. His younger son just shook his head. Patrick's ex-wife pulled out her phone and started texting, probably her divorce lawyer. And Sarah. Sarah turned to me, her expression unreadable. "You planned this." I met her gaze. "I planned to expose him," I admitted. "I didn't plan for all of that." She swallowed. "But you knew." "Yes." Silence. Then she exhaled, looking down at her hands. "I don't know if I should be mad at you, or thank you." I let out a short, humorless laugh. Join the club. The rest of the dinner was a quiet disaster. Patrick's father paid the bill in silence. His mother sobbed into a napkin. The waitstaff swept up broken glass, trying to pretend nothing had happened. Patrick's wife left first. Then his parents. Sarah and I sat in the empty restaurant, staring at the mess. Finally, she spoke. "So, what happens now?" I leaned back, considering. "Well," I said, "Patrick's company is done. He's facing fraud charges. His accounts are frozen. And now, he owes money to the kind of people who don't take no for an answer." Sarah closed her eyes. "Jesus." I let out a slow breath. "But I think, for us, that's up to you." Her eyes flickered. "What do you mean?" I met her gaze. "You laughed, Sarah. When he took my plate. You laughed with them." She flinched. I shook my head. "I get it. He was your brother. It's hard. But I need to know, are you on my side? Or theirs?" She didn't answer right away. And that told me everything. I sighed, stood, and threw a few bills on the table. Then, without another word, I walked out. Patrick? No one knows exactly what happened to him. He disappeared for a while. Resurfaced months later, broke, divorced, and a shell of the man he used to be. His parents stopped speaking to him. His ex-wife? Took everything. Sarah and I? Well, let's just say I never had dinner with her family again. And I never, ever let anyone take my plate again.